If you have a question, please leave it in the chat.
I think I can start with somebody who has put a question direct in my inbox. Listening, the difference between listening to respond and listening to learn. I could answer that as other people put their questions. So listening to respond is, I am giving you feedback, and even before I have finished my statement, you already have heard what you want to hear out of what I've said. So and usually it is usually give your response based on my last word. So something like, Doreen, I think you could grow in the area of public speech. And what's your response? So are you saying I don't know how to speak? No, I'm not saying that you don't know how to speak, but I think you could improve on the way you control your audience. So you mean whenever I'm presenting, the audience is not on board with me? You are not listening. You are not with me. We are not communicating. You are listening to respond to me. You are not listening to learn from the feedback I'm giving to you. Now that is a life skill, because if you're not getting feedback, then how will you improve? So that is the very simple difference I can give. So it's important that when people are giving feedback, especially people that have nothing to lose by giving you the feedback, it's important that you listen in and listen to learn from them, especially people who are above you, whether it is in terms of career, whether it is in terms of whatever. If they are giving you feedback, listen to learn. That in fact means leave them to talk and flow with them. You might disagree with what they are saying at that time, but flow with them, get to understand where they're coming from. And then after that, you can go and reflect on what they said. You might disagree with it or what, but get it, learn from the feedback they're giving you. And then whether you work on it or not is entirely yours. As I said, personal development is personal.
I think Marion also has a question.
Thank you. Good evening.
Evening, Marion.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Msmenta, for the presentation. It was really insightful. I'm glad I was able to join. My question is, you talked about something to do with headhunting, where someone will go and ask maybe the people you relate with, the people you socialize with. Currently, there's a lot of social networking. You look at, I'll give an example in the HR where you meet out like completely outside work and you're just having your time as people, and you see that sometimes people are misinterpreted because of the way they maybe show up or behave during such events, in that when someone is asked, for example, how is Marion, would you recommend her, someone will give that like a recommendation based on the socialization or the social activities that you have with them. So how would you advise a person? How can someone balance between the social life, the professional life, and then their own personal life? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. That's a very hard question. If you asked me, I would say, and I have a whole training on personal branding and self-reflection. But if you asked me now, for this very session, I would say I am, as an employer, I am better off employing a Marion whom I know when they are unscripted than employing a Doreen who gets scripted during outings, but when it comes to work, I get the real Doreen. So I know that's now the downside of headhunting and referral, the referrals, the networks. You get the referral based on the branding that you have established in the mind of the person who has been asked. And so there are some spaces that you'll go to and they will say, modern is a comedian. He's just funny. He's just always making fun. So you lose a job because of that. Not because you don't have the competence, but personally, you ask me, I would say I'm better off dealing with the modern that is unscripted and is doing things their way than employ a Marion who is ever serious, ever professional, I mean, in those spaces. And then you employ her and you get the real Marion. So I would personally say, be yourself, be hired based on the human being that you are, not the one that is scripted, that is in suits, but in actual in actual sense, you're not really that professional. So if you love drinking your beer, drink it. That is you. You love dancing, dance. Also, by the way, I could also say there are people who will hire you because of that. Because they know Marion is on one hand an HR person, but even in their personal lives, she's an outgoing person. We don't want to hire a very serious HR person. We want an HR person that is holistic, both in their practice, but also in their humanity. So there are people who hire you because of that, because they know she's the positive vibes lady. So I wouldn't go for acting because you want to brand yourself as that person who is very serious, very professional. I would say be yourself and be hired for being yourself. That of course has a downside. There are some people who will not hire you, but I'd rather be not hired, but be myself. Why is that important for you? Because if you're acting a role, you will forever have challenges at work. Because you're just acting out a role. That's not you. And you know it. That's not you. But if you yourself, you are positive vibes both at work and at the beach and at home, that is you. You're not acting out anything. So I'd rather have that person who is themselves at home, at the beach, in the bar, and at work than somebody who is acting out the HR head of HR role. So that would be my answer. Of course, it doesn't solve the problem, but my point is don't act. You feel that somebody said that culture is what a person is, what an employee feels in their hearts and in their stomachs on Sunday night about Monday morning. So if you're going to be the actor, then you're the one who, I mean, on Sunday night we say, tomorrow is Monday. People who do that are most probably acting their roles at work because they are different human beings off work. I wouldn't want to be there. So that would be my answer to you.
Thank you for that answer. That was insightful. And we have another question. Someone is asking how. Okay, so someone is asking how do you balance empathy to keep the team aligned to the standards? How best can you track your growth progress on the 10 life skills? And then lastly, share some tips on how to manage emotions, especially the extremes as a leader, so that you are not misunderstood.
Thanks, Doreen. How do you balance empathy to keep the team aligned to the standards? I would say empathy is the how. It is a means. So the first point is, do you understand your team? Do you reason from their point of view and then now make a leadership, a management decision on, yes, this is where they are coming from, but this is where I want the team to be. These are the like the example I gave earlier when I was just starting. The people are all at home because of the rain. One, do you understand that side, their side? But on the other hand, as a leader, you have a role to play to make sure that there is performance. So how do you, first of all, understand where they are, and then use your analysis of where they are to now make a management decision? You wouldn't want to make a management decision without first thinking and being where they are. So that is the whole point. So it's not that because I'm empathetic, I will not make strategic decisions that sometimes might not be people, people positive, people plus. No. But I'll first think, as I make, in the process of making that decision, I'll first ask myself, one, how will this affect these people? Let me give you an example. Today we are having a runaround on shifting office. And so the question that I asked the team, the project committee that was moving around to look for office space was, you are getting this office in this place. How does that affect people who are the other side of town? Because the bigger part of the staff are this side where the office is. But what about the other ones? That doesn't mean we did not end up making a management decision, but we brought the affairs, the welfare of the people that are the other side of town in making the decision on whether we should take on this office space or not. So the clear answer to your question is, it is not that by being empathetic, you will not make any leadership or management or what people call hard decisions. No, it's just that you will think about the people, be empathetic to the people, and then now that will help you make a better refined decision that has thought about the people aspect, but also is feeding into organizational performance and efficiency. Second question, how best can you track your growth through the 10 life skills? So I would say once you have got you have got that matrix that I showed, this where is it? This one. Once you have done this matrix and you have got actions, so actions are how will you fix this, the reasons, the why they have given you here. The next thing is timeline. When do you want to work on that action? Now, once you have agreed on the timeline, and as I said, the personal development is personal. It's not, you're not doing anybody a favor by developing yourself. So this is you. This is you trying to develop yourself. One thing that I would recommend is, can you get an accountability partner, either at your workplace or at your home, or somebody that can actually work with you in improving yourself long term? So say out of the 10, I'm going to start with this issue of problem solving because I think everybody's telling me there is a challenge with, let me even go down to interpersonal relations. All the feedback I'm getting, everybody's saying I have challenges with interpersonal relations. So I am working on fixing interpersonal relations going forward. After that, I'll go for effective communication. So rank them on what is more urgent, what's more important, and then, how have you got feedback over time, and start working on them as you fix all of them. Get an accountability partner who can support you through that process. If you don't have one, look for a coach, somebody who would, my personal definition of a coach or a mentor is somebody who has nothing to lose by telling you the truth. So get that person and you just say, this is what I want to work on. I need you to move with me on this journey. There are people who do that. And they need to be people that can actually sit with you and give you feedback, and people can follow you on that journey. So that is how I would personally say you could work on that. Tips on how to manage emotions, especially the extremes as a leader, so that you're not misunderstood. I don't know the definition of misunderstood. I personally think all leaders at some point are misunderstood. So I wouldn't work not to be misunderstood, because I'm not sure I'm ever understood. But it's good that you understood also, very important. But it's not something you should work towards, because the chances of achieving it are really very minimal. Part of the cost of leadership is being misunderstood. And I'm talking about 14, 15 years of doing leadership at mid-management, senior management, executive leadership. You always will be misunderstood by some people, not all of them, but some people will always misunderstand you. So don't work towards not being misunderstood. Work towards having a clean conscience. So the decision that I've taken, am I comfortable? Am I okay that this is the best for my team, for my people, and I would do it again if the same circumstance came up. So don't work towards being not misunderstood, work towards being emotionally stable yourself, because at the end of the day, you're talking about people, you're talking about challenges to those people. If, for example, you're restructuring, you're talking about people losing their livelihoods. So certainly you'll be misunderstood because you're affecting people, but work towards, is this what I would do given the same circumstances? So I think that would be the answer I would give you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Madan. Do we have any other question? Do we have any other question before we end the webinar?
There is a question that has come into my direct chat. When your supervisor makes a petty decision, how best do you handle this without ruffling feathers? How do you manage upwards? So there is a whole course on managing your boss, which I would interest some of us to go through it. It's on one hand, you are not in control of what your boss will do. Well, that's why they are the boss. But do you have platforms where you give feedback to your boss? Do you have a culture in your organization where you can give feedback to your boss and it's acceptable? Not that you want, not that they will change their decision, but they will get your viewpoint. Because most times, by the time they have made a decision, they have thought out and think that is what is right. But do you have a platform where you can actually talk to them and give them feedback from your point of view and say, yes, we took this? Because now if it is the boss who has taken it and you're part of leadership, then it is all of you that have taken it, even when you don't believe in it. So can you create a culture in your organization, or do you have it where you give each other candid feedback? I would encourage you to read about radical candor. It's a concept in HR management, people, organizational development. Radical candor. There's actually a book on radical candor. So you can create that environment, that culture where you can actually give each other feedback, and that is feedback to your boss. That is your boss giving the feedback, so that feedback is not just coming top down, but can also come down up. That way, you know that even when your boss takes a decision that you don't agree with, as a staff member, as part of leadership, you will always have a platform where you can actually give them feedback. So I think that's the simple. But I'd be interested you in reading the book Radical Candor. It would fix some of the issue that you have raised here.
Thank you, Mr. Madan. Any further question? We have about 5 minutes left to entertain further questions.
I believe the questions are done. Thank you, people. Thanks for your feedback and your comments.
So, in the absence of any further questions, I think we can. Oh, I think someone just messaged. Oh, there's just a thank you message.
Yeah, they're all thank you messages in the chat. They're not questions.
So I'm going to open the floor out to Fiona to say one or two.
My apologies. My connection is in and out. Presentation this much. Everything was so relatable, and I want to thank you because I think you've given all of us so much to think about. Even if we are not asking questions, we know what we need to work on. So thank you for taking the time out for us. And with that, I think it's safe to call it a wrap. Yes, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Thank you, the Fluffers team. Yeah, have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good night, people. And thanks for your messages. I've read all of them.